Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's September 6th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And real quickly before we get started, we just got a huge severe thunderstorm warning for my area, and the wind is blowing 100 miles an hour out there, and they're talking about some kind of high wind shear. So if I may lose power in the middle of this thing, who knows? Hopefully not. We'll try to get through it pretty quickly. But if you hear anything noisy in the background, or if I lose power, you may not even know it on your end. But unless it keeps me from finishing the chart lesson or something. But anyway, if for some reason I don't get it up tonight, I'll get it up first thing tomorrow. So it's already late in the evening, so I got to get this thing rolling. But anyway, here's the daily chart. You can see we went right on through the midline, big bearish day, and but we recovered a good bit of that. We didn't get back above the EMA, the 21 EMA, but the way that thing turns down, we could end up, that could be the right spot, and so maybe we bounced off the EMA. You would expect when we shot through it would pull back and test it, and if it doesn't hold, it could go lower. But to me, it looks like it might bounce there and go higher. We'll have to see what tomorrow brings. So we may continue to see more downward action. And man, the wind's really howling out there now. But anyway, we're going to continue on best we can here. Let's flip over to the intraday chart and take a look at it. And you can see how bearish looking it was till the end when we rallied. But uh, let's flip over there. Okay, here's a look at our 2000 tick. Uh, let's zoom in here a little more so we can see it all. We were bounced pretty good, had a pretty good bounce here. Um, so we didn't close on our low, but man, it was really bearish. You can see this. You got the two-tiered blue channel that was working lower. It was kind of hard to know where the bottom of this was earlier. I thought it was up in here, and we just kept pushing lower. And you may not have been able to find this bottom until it finally bounced. But you can see that's it. We worked right off that midline all the way down through there. So that's definitely the low right there. There was a 9 o'clock news item here, which you can see I marked that out from about 10 to 9 till about maybe 8 or 10 after, till it kind of settled down there. Uh, there's what it looked like. So let's zoom in, go through the trades. There's not a whole lot of them today. As bearish as this is, there's just not a lot of good setups here. A lot of sideways, and you just get these huge moves down, and then we'd go sideways, huge moves down, sideways, nice move down, and then kind of sideways again and a move down, and then we finally bounced out of there. So anyway, let's zoom in up here at the beginning. 7 o'clock came right over in here in this, and I just don't see anything that I'd want to buy or sell there. And then finally you push through and broke below your, it was a failure course, but notice when you come back you get a second entry short right here, and we couldn't even get back to the highs, and you'd already pushed through there one time. So I like going short there. It's kind of close to whether you have enough room to that low. You can see it's probably just enough, but we just pushed through there, so that shows you we could probably go lower. So you may take that trade regardless, even if it was only like 5 ticks, maybe you still take that trade, but there's just enough to get out there. And that turns out to be a really nice trade. It just kind of takes off. And we get down here, it shoots below the midline, but then jumps back above it, comes back, and there's just a first entry there, and that really sets the trend line. So you don't really, there is somewhat of some resistance up there. We're not quite there yet. There's no way you can go short there yet. And then we finally come back up. There's a second entry short right there. However, we're not back to the trend line, and you don't have a break outside this thing. We finally push out and push higher, and we make like a 2-bar matching high and a big bearish bar, and when it breaks lower there, that's a second entry. You may not could have got in there because it kind of gaps, but if you put a sell limit order there, you probably could have got filled, and that was a nice move down. I may not have this thing drawn quite steep enough. We might have been closer to that trend line than you think. I'm just not sure. But regardless, we dropped down, and I marked this one green. Um, it's just it's really just a first entry, but there's a hidden second entry there. Notice that you get a first entry, then you go higher again. It actually broke higher and turned down, um, and then kind of bounced again. I think it's really risky, but notice once we push through that midline right there, we came back and tested it twice, and you have that hidden second entry. So if it breaks lower, there's a good chance you're going to go down and notice there's no break of this yet. That's the first break of this, and there's no retest of the low. And notice we made two legs down to a perfect retest, just made a new low, and then we kind of bounced out of there. I wouldn't be looking to buy anything here. There's a second entry long there. We are a little ways away from the EMA, and there is a little double bottom, so it'll probably be a failure, but I don't think I would risk it. I'd be looking for shorts. It's one of those that if you really want to be super, trying to pick tops and bottoms is the reason most people fail at this. It's not a great idea. If you're a great chart reader and you see this, that's the break and two legs down and we're that far away from the EMA, there's a good chance we're going to bounce back. So, and that's exactly what happens. Then you try to go higher once, twice, and you get a failed second entry long. And that's also a second entry short. Notice the new low, first entry, then you go up and you get a second entry. When it breaks below there, that's a second entry short, and it failed to go higher twice. So I like going short there. Unfortunately, it's only good for about a scalp, and then it bounces. And again, it's tempting even right there to trade that as a higher low, but I don't think I think it's too risky. We run up here, we get a close outside, move to a new high, and I marked this one green because it's hard to know where we're at in the scheme of things here. And it's only it's a third entry. It's not a first entry, but it looks like we do get a close outside and a new high. So there's a good chance we could go lower. There is a lower high here, and I didn't mark this one originally, but it's probably worth taking. I'm gonna mark it green. In this downtrend, it's probably worth taking. So, I mean, you can treat that as a lower high. I mean, it's moved a little bit farther than I would like, but I mean, it's not like it's some of these that was moved a long way. I think that's stretching it, so I'm going to make it green, but you could treat that like a lower high. And that turns out to be a really nice move. Failed second entry long there, but it doesn't set up right for a trade. And then we bounce and just start working sideways. And then notice how we have a new high here, try to go higher. We come down here, we try to go higher again. Really, what you're treating this at is a breakout pullback short. And a lot of times you don't want to trade that on ranges. And there is some support there, but I like this one because it's right under that midline. And again, you may not have that midline. You may not be able to find that. I think I had it a little higher at that time. So that makes it tough to play the midline really. So you're just really trading this as a breakout pullback. And you can see it acted as resistance 1, 2, 3, and then it broke. And the reason I like this is it broke higher and turned down. So I like going short on the engulfing bar. Once this closed, you still could go short there, but I really like it on the engulfing bar. Because you hope it's going to act as a trap. It doesn't really act like it trapped a lot of people, but it still ends up going lower. It's a strong downtrend, so you're just looking for reasons to get short here. We get a little overshoot, which leads to a break. Unfortunately, it's just a first entry, and it's inside the channel. I don't think you can go short there. There's a second entry right here, and there my power just blinked. I hope I don't lose you guys. There's a second entry short when it breaks lower right there. I would have preferred it break higher first. It's another one you might mark green because it is a second entry, and there is a 3-bar matching high there. But we've had the break. We actually had an overshoot, so we could end up with a higher low and go higher here. That's what scared me about that one, is that we had an overshoot on this yellow channel. which led to the break, which usually does. And it doesn't always mean you get a reversal, but we could have headed back up to these highs. It just was hard to know what was going on right there. We actually get two legs down to a new low, and then we rally a little bit and head on lower. I don't see anything in there I would risk for long or short. And then finally we bounce here and we're working higher, but you just can't buy this. Then you get a 1, 2, 3 triple test, big bearish bar. I like going short right there. This has been a strong downtrend. You're probably the 2-bar matching high. If this would have been by itself with a new high, it's higher than it. I think it's actually equal to that, so it's still a double top. So just verify that. Yeah, that's a triple test. I mean, it's a 2-bar matching high already, but it's the same height as that, so it's just double top really. That's the way I would classify that. But it's got that 2-bar matching high as well, and a big bearish bar. I like going short there, hoping that it would go lower. You expect we're probably going to at least come down here, or down to here anyway on these last lows. And then it just kind of bounces along, and then it drops down, pulls back, and again you got a double top here, so you got a new high, and you get a first entry, second entry. There's clearly 2 legs down. It fails, so if break below that's a failure. And I like trading that one. It's only good for a scalp too. Runs on down. Then you're just kind of working sideways here. You actually make a first entry and a second entry. And it's real tempting to take that second entry right there. But you're on the other side of the EMA. You're probably headed back over here. But then you get this outside bar. I'm not sure which way this broke first. I think it broke higher and then turned down. But either way, even if it turned down and came back up and then came back down again, when it went back through there, take that short. Just on the engulfing bar. That's the way I like it. If you wait till this bar closes, it looks too congested. You can't take it. But if you saw it on the engulfing bar, maybe you take that trade. It's close to being green, but this is just such a strong downtrend. And I liked it on the engulfing bar because it probably trapped somebody. And you can see it does finally, boom, it drops down there. And then we're just working lower. I don't see any setup. There's another second entry here, but the signal bar is too neutral. First entry, when it breaks below that one's a second entry. You can't take that. And then finally it bounces. And now you could pretty much clarify your channel. You can see the midlines are working. We bounced here and it takes off. There's a reversal right here, and it's so tempting to take, but I think you got to skip that. This is actually a little lower. I think you got to skip that. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry. So when it broke above this bar right here, that's a failure. And it's probably going to trap people and be a good long trade, especially because people are still trying to get short. And what happens is people watch it all the way down and finally say, if I get a second entry, I'm going short. They don't have any idea that this is even though it has broke the yellow channel or the khaki channel, you got to take into account the bigger channel there. And we just came off the lows, so it's just a trap. And look at them, they trap those people. But again, if you want to be super aggressive, maybe you take that one. But I'd sit it out. I'd wait and only take shorts here until you get a confirmed trend like this one. Now maybe you take some longs. And this thing just starts chopping. There's 2 sideways here. There's just nothing in there I like. You're still below you're just waiting for a chance to get short. It's really tempting to go short right there. I think you could classify that as a second entry and go first entry, second entry, and that's right off the key entry point with 5 ticks. So if you saw that, I wouldn't fault you if you took that trade. But once it kept going sideways, just sit tight and see what happens. And guess what? It bounces right here again. So that trend line is easily confirmed. There's a second entry right there. But again, this channel's in play. I'm a little leery. There's no break of this yet. Now you get a break and a couple legs to a new high, and you get that big bearish bar. That's tempting. And if you're going to enter, it's another one that maybe you make it green and maybe you take that trade. But it's just a little too sideways there, and you might bounce right into that midline. We're consistently above the EMA, so you really need to be looking for longs now. And you get 2 legs down, and you get a close outside your trend line, but you get a clear second entry way away from the EMA. Now, if this is close to the EMA, don't take it. You want room to get out in case it does turn back down. But here, I think you're safe to take that, and that turns out to be a pretty good move up. And then you get a close outside and move to a new high, and that takes you into 230. So I don't see anything else there worth taking there. And notice we did end up going and making a new high here. It took a while to work through that resistance, but we finally did. And as soon as it did, it fails and comes back and closes down here. So really bearish day or morning, and then we rallied a little bit into the afternoon and just kind of went stagnant there. I mean, this doesn't look like any reversal really to me. This just looks like a bounce off the market being oversold a little bit. And so we'll see what tomorrow brings. Looking at the daily chart, it looks like we possibly could go higher, but it's hard to know yet. You need another bar or two. That's the thing about the daily chart. It's real slow. It moves real slow, and sometimes you need a couple more bars to confirm things are happening. And it's the same way here, but the bars print in 3 to 5 minutes, so you don't have to wait very long to find out what's going on. When on a daily chart, sometimes you got to sit and wait 2 or 3 days, 4 days before you really know what's going on. So it's a little slower, but it gives you a little bigger picture too. So it's usually a valuable picture that helps you, give you some ideas. Sometimes it's crystal clear, and sometimes it's just not. And right now, are we going to bounce off that EMA? Let me go back to it real quick. So are we going to bounce here and go higher and make that new high, or are we going to continue to press lower? We'll have to see. My guess is we're bouncing off that midline, and we're going to try to push to make a new high. Prices are still going to try to continue to attempt to make a new high here until they can't. And then maybe if we try to go high, we've already missed going high once or twice there. You can see once, twice, but we made a little higher high here, so we'll see what happens. But that could be let me just draw the line across there. You could argue there's a triple test there. 1, 2, 3. This was all together, so maybe it's just 1, 2 at this point. So we'll see what happens. Can we get through there or no? Will we even attempt, or will we just keep going lower? It looks to me like we're going to try to bounce, even if only temporary. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. Hope you had a good trading day. I'm going to wrap this up before I lose some power or something here, because the wind is really storming outside, and the wind's howling. So our power tends to go out when the power lines start swinging around out here at the office. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.